Hello, everyone. This is Bill Apter, and I just finished taping an episode of Count It Out with Mike and Tyler, or Tyler and Mike. They're brilliant hosts. You've got to listen. You've got to see. Count It Out. Yeah, I endorse it. They've got the After Chat seal of approval.
Hey, Wrestling World, check out my friends at CanadaOut7.com. Wrestling podcasts, news, and a lot of awesome content. Even got all the All-Ontario Cup event setters. Also follow them on Twitter at CountedOut7. Also on Instagram at CountedOut7. CountedOut7.com with Mike and Tyler.
Hey, everybody, this is the voice of Ring of Honor, Ian Riccaboni, and you're listening to Count It Out with Mike and Tyler.
Take a walk around the world and keep your hands to yourself. To the point, 'cause you know I won't be listening long.
Well, we are live, pals, and welcome to another edition of the Bill Apter Seal of Approved, Counted Out with Mike and Tyler. My name is Tyler, and I am joined, as always, by the one and only Mike. No nickname this week, just Mike.
Oh.
How about artist formerly known as Mike?
What did I do to you?
You're
What
just
happened
gonna
to
you're just gonna
what
be a
happened to
symbol
my
from now on.
What
No.
happened to my mojito?
No, you know what? I'm tired. It's been a long day, and I'm just not creative enough to give you a nickname, even if an old one. You get just Mike today. One thing, no last name, like Cher.
Okay.
But I will, and that's only because you look just as good in the pair of assless chaps as she does. So,
That's very true.
mad respects, man. What's going on, man? How are you?
Oh man, it's I'm all right. We're in the middle of fucking Christmas season, so it's we're getting our asses kicked at work. You and I both at our jobs. So this is always a tough season. It's very tiring. Today was my day off. Today's my day off, and I'm tired. You're at the ass end of a 16-hour day here.
Yeah,
So
worked for about 13 hours, give or take, and
yeah, you did the old open close today.
yeah, whatever. Not like I've never done it before. I love. It helps when you like your job, so the time goes by pretty good. It was a good night,
Yeah.
no complaints, and yeah, man. I want to get into the show this week because we've got a lot to talk about. And I want to start it off with some unfortunate news. As we record this we record on Monday nights for anyone that doesn't know. And before we, probably a few hours before we took the air to record here, we got the unfortunate news of the passing of Jimmy Rave, 39 years old, I believe he was. And this one really hurt me, man, because I was a huge, you guys know that I'm a huge fan of Ring of Honor from the 06 era. And the Embassy was like one of my favorites. This one hurt, man. Poor Jimmy Raves had a tough run of luck. He lost both his legs, his arm.
Yeah, it was only about 2 months ago we were talking about Jimmy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, having his legs amputated, and it's he was suffering from a flesh-eating disease, and among other things. And I don't know what the actual cause of death was. I don't know if you have that information.
I haven't seen it yet.
No, I'm going to assume it was complications from his flesh-eating disease. I don't know what else there is to say here. He was too young, too talented, too. These young deaths are hard, man. Death is hard, anyways. But seeing a guy who's not even as old, he's not even as old as me.
He's 2 years older than I am.
He'll never see his 40s. Yeah,
he's 2 years older than I am. This one hurts, and I grew up watching him. Did you get to see a lot of Jimmy's work in 06 Ring of Honor, especially when he was doing the Embassy?
Not when it was on. Like, I wasn't really watching in 06, right? But I've gone back.
Have you seen his like amazing entrance though that he would do, where everyone threw the toilet paper in the ring?
Yes.
Like, that was so good. I want to highlight two matches that I would like everyone to go and check out if they. Well, no, let's do three matches because I could list 100 matches, but I'm going to specifically focus on these three matches. I would love everyone to go back and check out Jimmy Rave versus CM Punk steel cage match, as well as dog collar match. If we're talking about Punk, you might as well put those two together. They're both fantastic. And it's actually It's funny because that was a match that I was talking to Anthony about that I wanted to do on Classroom at some
Right.
point.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They had a great rivalry. Him and AJ Styles had a great rivalry in Ring of Honor. My favorite Jimmy Rave match is from the first, I believe it's the first or second time that they came over to the UK. And him and Nigel McGuinness had a incredible hardcore street fight match, whatever. It was shortly after the Embassy run had just ended. So Jimmy was like a weird kind of dark character. He came out to House of the Rising Sun as his theme music. And he had this like crazy look on his face. And him and Nigel absolutely tore the house down. I don't know. I'll try to find a link and post them. I don't know if it's even online right now, but if you can find the match between him and Nigel McGuinness in the hardcore match in England, you need to go out of your way to watch it. It's incredible.
You're catching me at a rare moment of speechlessness here. I don't know what else to say. Our condolences to his family, his fans, his friends, the people that still supported him in the wrestling world, outside of the wrestling world.
He had a big hand in helping out a lot of young talent. You know, he was like a good coach. He really helped. The praises that you saw on Twitter today from a lot of people just saying how much he helped their careers. And he had a fun run in TNA with the Rock and Rave connection with Lance Hoyt and Christy Hemme, which I know it was like a jokey gimmick or whatever, but fuck, they were entertaining, man. And that's what it's all about. Jimmy Rave entertained us, and it's really too bad. And he was a name I had on my list that I really wanted to reach out to and talk to next year. I happened to find his email address, and I just, I always regret not sending that message.
I wanted to give him some time after his surgery. I didn't want us to reach out to him too fast after his surgery. I hate the idea of us being thought of as those what I like to call ambulance chasers. As soon as somebody is in the news, you're like, oh, and you jump on them.
Yeah, I'm not like that either.
Yeah, so I wanted to give him some time. No matter his issues, no matter what was going on with him health wise, I didn't expect this. Maybe I should have. I don't know, but I didn't. My thought 2 months ago wasn't, oh, I'm sure he's going to be dead in a couple months. No, that wasn't it. So it's very sad. It's very unfortunate.
Let's just kind of we'll move on to the next topic here. I just want to say a final thing here is just thank you, Jimmy Rave, for everything that you did from a fan. I'm really appreciative of the work you did. Hopefully, obviously he's not going to be suffering anymore, and he can kind of rest easy and that's all I have. I'm at a loss for words on this one too. This one hurt.
I truly don't mean this as a segue. It's going to come off hacky and cheesy, and it's not meant to be like this. But we are about to talk about the ROH's final battle from the weekend. I hope Jimmy got a chance to watch it. I do. If the last pay-per-view Jimmy got to watch was Ring of Honor's final battle, it's almost apropos. It's almost, I hope he got to make peace and say goodbye to something that he loved the way that Ring of Honor got to say, make their peace and say goodbye to us for at least an extended period of time. Because Jimmy was loved in ROH, and I think Jimmy loved ROH.
Well, and just so you know, the terrible segues is my gimmick. So terrible segues and saying names wrong is my gimmick, and I'm gonna have to fight you.
Well, it's apparently my gimmick when ROH comes up, because this is a horrible segue. And the only time I've ever really butchered a name is that time we were talking to Lenny Leonard, and I don't know what I called Gabe Sapolsky, but it was like Gabe. It was horrible.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Roy Gabe's name.
It was really funny. I was like, Mike, what? That's my thing. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about Ring of Honor. Take the lead on this one. This is your baby. And it ties into our list this week, which, by the way, is the top 7 most emotional matches of all time. Not moments, matches.
And this had it all. This was one of the most emotional pay-per-views of all time. I'm going to go ahead and say I have no problem saying that. Definitely one of the most. It had some of the most emotional moments of the year for sure. In my estimation, in my opinion, one of the most emotional matches of the year, if not of all time, in the main event.
Of all time, okay, easy. of all time. Come on.
Yeah.
It was.
You don't
it
think
was,
I'm gonna have? You don't think I'm gonna argue with some of the pieces of shit you're gonna have on your list?
Good luck. I know one match
Good
that
luck.
you will argue with, and I will just shoot it down because that's what I do.
And-
I
and-
back up my list.
And I'm ready to shoot you down. The fact is, you already told me that you don't agree with me that that was one of the most emotional matches ever, and you're wrong.
It was in
You're-
contention to me. I'll tell you what. I'm going to go ahead and I'll say it right now that this match did not make my list today. It was in one of 4 matches in contention for my number 7 spot, though.
Should have been. I would put it at least 4 or 5.
Well, thank God you're not doing the list this week.
We'd actually have people listening to it.
Well, yeah, just because people listen to your list more doesn't mean that they're better, all right? You just might be more entertaining than
I kind of don't agree with that.
me. Listen, just let me have this one, okay? Come on.
But my opinion alone, this was a 10 out of 10 pay-per-view. It really was for me personally as a fan, as an ROH fan, as a current ROH fan, as a wrestling fan. It was a 10 out of 10 for me. There was no subpar matches, no subpar moments.
The tag title match was my match of the night for sure.
Oh my God. Did you get a chance to watch the whole thing?
I did.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It was beautiful. It was a great way to say goodbye to that division. You couldn't have gotten 2 better teams to face off for those titles right now.
And we planted the seeds for the Briscoes and FTR. Take my money, man. You know I want to see that
100%.
match.
And you know the Briscoes are going to be all over the Indies for the next 4 months. So yeah. They set that up. And then let's talk about the rest of the show really quick.
Wait, before you segue away from that, I want to put a little thing out to the universe there. Everyone's saying, oh, Briscoes to AEW to fight FTR. And I would love that. And I think the Briscoes would be a great fit into AEW. I know you like them to go to Impact.
I'd like that match to happen in AAA.
I would like that match to happen in GCW. For the GCW tag
The
team
GCW
titles.
title?
Yeah.
I was thinking ROH titles versus AAA titles.
I mean, you could do ROH, GCW, AAA.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. It may be AEW if FTR wins them.
Are FTR the AEW champions as well? Or no?
No.
No, they're not.
Penta and Phoenix are.
Okay. So we've laid the seeds for that in a great way. They got really fucking heated. There was a great moment.
Yeah, it was a great brawl.
Love that moment. Other seeds were laid. EC3 really laid seeds for his new promotion that he's been building for months now. Taking a guy like Eli Alsam and Dak Draper, and who was the third? It was Brian Johnson, and saying that
Wesley Blake was out there too. Did you know that one of those hood guys was Wesley Blake?
Yeah. When the hood guys was Wesley Blake, yes, I did know that. But these are the 3 guys you took from ROH and said, okay, guys, like you have what it takes, blah blah blah, but you got to get your ass kicked first. And then first he has those hood guys come out, and then he says, release the Titan. I was not expecting the Titan to be who came out. We get Braun Strowman.
He looked great.
Under his real name, Sheer Paul. What's his name? Something Sheer.
Brian Schaefer. Paul Schaefer. That's David Letterman.
Paul Schaefer. No, his last name is Sheer. I just can't remember his first name.
Rob
Anyways,
is yelling at us already.
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. I got Braun Strowman right, but he looks phenomenal.
With what shape he's in, eh? Brian,
Right?
Is it Brian?
No.
Damn it.
But anyways, I don't care. Matt, I don't care. I said. Moving on. So that was great. That laid seats for that. In another spot, you had Roxy defeat Willow for the championship, and then Deonna Purrazzo comes out.
I did like that.
And flat out says, come on over to Impact and face me. Beautiful.
Yeah, I like that. I thought that was fantastic.
What a great way to put over Roxy, for one, but to continue to make that newly established women's championship in ROH mean something.
I
Right?
agree. I agree with you 100%.
They're not going to let it fade away. They're going to let it go on to be something, which I think they're going to do with most of the titles. The Briscoes are going to run around the Andes with those ROH titles now. Roxy is going to go and face arguably one of the greatest women's wrestler of the last decade in Deanna Purrazzo for that championship. And you got your new ROH champion in Jonathan Gresham starting his own promotion. And he's also known for going to places like GCW and stuff like that.
I would like to see him and Bandito have their match title for title in that promotion that he's starting up.
Yes, absolutely. So there's so much can be done. I don't know what April's going to bring us. I don't know what kind of version of Ring of Honor we're going to see in April, but I don't think we're done.
I'm really happy that Ian Riccaboni announced that he's doing New Japan Strong in Seattle as well.
Yes,
which is great.
Cool for it. We got to reach out to Ian because I'd love to talk to him about this transition. That's going to be great.
Absolutely. Ian, have we ever talked to him before? Ian Riccaboni, friend of the show, Ian Riccaboni.
Yeah, friend of the show. Yes. And then we got to reach out to Tyrone Flowers' favorite commentator, Caprice Coleman, as well.
Oh yeah, you guys got heat now. I was gonna say our boy Carrie Silken out there handing out the Ring of Honor World Title at the end. I love seeing that.
My favorite moment. Number one, it was fun to have him on commentary during the was it the tag team match?
I think so. Yeah,
it was a tag team match. That was fun. But then, as Jay Lethal made his entrance, Jay couldn't help himself but to just jump into Carrie's arms.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Big hug.
That was awesome.
It was probably my second favorite Jay moment of the year. My first favorite being the first pay-per-view back with fans when Jay came out to the big pop and Jay started crying on the fucking ramp. You want to talk about emotion. Yeah, we're talking about emotion here on the show today. Jay Lethal is one of the most emotional guys out there. He can't help himself. He shows it. And he's been, you can tell how much he loves this fucking sport. I put him and like Mike Bennett in the same category where you can just tell they bleed for this, literally. The last thing I will bring up about this show, one of the things I loved about it, I'm pretty sure you didn't get a chance to watch it yet, but I love this. There was an 8-man tag and it was Violence Unlimited. And of course, the Dirty Daddy, Chris Dickinson, is out on an injury. So he was replaced by Rocky Romero.
Love me some Rocky Romero.
Which was a great treat. Rocky was supposed to be the full-time commentator on the 3-man booth.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then right at the beginning, during the first hour, during the pre-show, he was out going, I can't wait for the show to start. I got to go out and do commentary. And then Brody King came up to him and said, no, you're not going to do that. He's like, we want you tonight.
I love that. And Rocky's got such a great history at the company, former tag team champion.
And that's what Brody King said. He goes, a guy like you, a guy with your history here, you can't be hiding behind the commentary booth. He's like, you get in the ring with us. Beautiful. And of course, they took on a weird amalgamation of the foundation. It wasn't all foundation members. It was basically Hot Sauce Tracy Williams and a bunch of other guys. Eli Elsom and a couple other guys. But it was a great match, really fun match. Not top 3 on the card, but here's what I loved about it. Out of nowhere, they just started throwing finishers in tribute to former ROH guys. So at one point, somebody did a Jerry Lynn pile driver. Then I think it was Tracy Williams threw on a cattle mutilation.
That's cool.
It was phenomenal. Homicide was wearing the same jumpsuit that he wore at the very first ROH pay-per-view.
Oh, really?
Which was the blue jumpsuit with Michael Myers on the back.
That's an old school Homicide.
Yeah, it was great, man. It was amazing. And sorry, last thing I'll talk about. I know you said you saw mixed reviews about it, but now I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk nothing great things about Shane Taylor versus Kenny King. It was a super fun match. Love me some Kenny King. Don't get me wrong, Shane Taylor's fantastic, but I've been a big fan of Kenny King for a long time. So to see those guys go out, do a fight without honor, the way they did it. The only thing that I shake my head at is, man, how much money did you spend on all those wooden tables? Because
and where the hell did they get them from? Those things are hard to get. They're hard to get. Holy. I also thought it was really cool after the match when all the African American wrestlers came out and they had a beautiful moment of solidarity and solidarity. Sorry, and I just thought it was awesome. I really enjoyed that.
And that's exactly what Shane Taylor and Kenny King wanted that night. They wanted you to push Black excellence in wrestling, and I think they 100% got their goal that night.
Look at the talent that was in the ring there. Holy shit.
It was phenomenal. And then to finish it off with the main event of two of the greatest wrestlers in the world, let alone greatest Black wrestlers in the world, in Jay Lethal and Jonathan Gresham. And to have the entire ROH locker room come out and surround the ring, New Japan style, and really, really support them. It was a beautiful thing.
It was pretty emotional.
It was a great way. Go fuck yourself. It was a great way to say goodbye to this. To at least say so long for now to this company.
I agree with that. I agree for sure, man.
I have a subject I'd like to hit very briefly before we get into the list. But do you have anything first?
No, man. You're on a roll. Keep it going.
Here's what I want to talk about. ROH is gone at least till April. WWE is floundering ? But we're still in a great state for professional wrestling if you're an actual wrestling fan. So here's what I want to ask you.
Is this the hypothetical question for the day?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We should name this segment.
We're going to. I got to think of a good name though, and then get a theme song for it and some cool editing. Just
come on, don't make me do that. It takes so. Damn you.
So my question: what do you either foresee or what do you hope to see in 2022 for these promotions that have a chance now to grab the so-called brass ring and run without an ROH there, with a plethora of talent, with WWE not taking advantage of the plethora of talent? What do you expect to see from companies like MLW? NWA,
I've got this right now. Let me bang these out right now. I'm in a group. I'll go every company I can think of. MLW and NWA, I'm in a group together because I want the same thing for them. More exposure. I want more eyes on their product. I just don't think enough people are watching it, and I need more people to watch that. Impact Wrestling, I want them to have a face of the company. I want there to be a face of Impact Wrestling. I think that's the only thing that company is missing.
I would have said Josh Alexander at one point in time, but just for his charismatic abilities, I'm thinking maybe it might be Moose.
Moose, you know what? If they're going to get behind Moose and run with him, you got a guy like Matt Cardona there as well. Turn him heel and let him run wild. And
thing is, Cardona's in like 4 different companies, and Impact's the only one that he's not like flying in, and it's because of his heel work. He's not a heel in Impact, so no one gives a fuck about him. You look at him. Did you see him at NWA a couple weeks ago?
Yeah, it was great.
Fucking amazing. Look at everything he's done in GCW. He is the greatest heel in the world right now, and Impact somehow isn't taking advantage of that.
I think they will next year. I think it's only a matter of time.
I think so.
I think he could be a guy that they start to build a company around.
I want to go back to something you said about NWA and MLW about more exposure. I want you to elaborate on that. What do you mean by this? So how do you get that right now? MLW, as far as I know, the only place to really watch it is YouTube. Mm-hmm. And they're on Fight. You can watch their stuff on Fight for free. And I think the same can be said about NWA. Their stuff, a lot of their stuff is on YouTube, and then they're also on Fight. Except you have to pay. I think it's $5.99 a month.
What I mean by that is,
what do they have to do? Do they have to get a national TV deal? It's not like that worked for fucking Ring of Honor.
They don't need to get a national TV deal. They just need to get people talking about them more. Okay. I don't know if that means, bringing in a guy or shooting a hot angle, or there's just people aren't talking about them enough. Right. Now that Ring of Honor's gone or on hiatus or whatever they're doing, this is a big opportunity for one of these two companies to step up.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what they have to do, but you know, all year we're talking about the Forbidden Door. The NWA was kind of onto something when they did their women's pay-per-view. They had a lot of people talking about it, but they didn't follow up on it. No one, like I haven't really heard much from the NWA since Trevor Murdoch won the title.
No, Trevor
So-
Murdoch's title reign, as far as I know, has been very quiet and boring. I can't say I've been watching the product as religiously as I used to. I was very big into the NWA product pre-COVID. Post-COVID, by the time life, you know, so I never got back onto it after their break, which I need to, because I'm sure they've been doing great things. I've been seeing clips, but I haven't been.
And same thing for MLW. I just put them as both the same. You know what I mean? They're the people that nobody are talking about.
And right now with the rebranding, that they rebranded their Fusion product. They got that Fusion Alpha. Now they're doing a whole side TV show just for their Lucha Underground-esque TV
Which I
show,
think they should promote more. I think it's more. I don't think enough people know that. I don't think enough people know that Lucha Underground is a social, like not Lucha Underground, but Lucha Underground. You know what I mean?
But
it is. I don't think enough people know.
And any fans of Lucha Underground, if they're sitting there going, "Oh, I missed that," do they know they can go watch MLW and they're getting a lot of the same stuff?
I didn't know for a long time, and I like to consider myself, you know, a hardcore wrestling fan. I didn't know for a long time.
No,
so they need to get the word out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Plus,
they have some of the greatest wrestlers out there right now. I slept on MLW for a long time and didn't realize how good the Von Erichs are.
Oh yeah. 100%. What about you?
Everybody talks about these tag teams. You want to see the all these great tag team combinations. Man, we talked about the Briscoes and how many great tag teams there could be for them. I'm already talking. I want to see the Briscoes and the Von Erichs.
Sign me up.
You know,
sign me up. Do you have ones for these two, or am I just doing them? Do you have a couple?
No, I wanted you to do it because I'm at a loss.
Okay.
I don't know what to expect from 2022. I'm just expecting and hoping for big things. Sure. I'm hoping for these companies, for all of these companies, even WWE and AEW, but especially the smaller companies, to grab the bull by the fucking horns, take advantage of everything that has happened in the last year and run with it in 2022. There is no reason that 2022 cannot be a massive year for professional wrestling. A massive year. Especially like in the era we are of social media and internet and Fight TV and YouTube and everything. There's no IWTV. Doesn't matter who you are. If you're AEW or you're Barry Wrestling, your product can get out there.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a fucking video camera, then you have a way of getting your product out there. There's a way to get your product out there. How do you get your product to be watched? That's the key right there.
You mentioned AEW, and I'll tell you what I'd like to see out of AEW in 2022. Slow down a little bit. I love AEW's product, but I think they give us too much. I like them to slow it down. You know, and the perfect example I'll give you is look what they did with Hangman Page. They made us wait, and it was a great moment. You know what I mean? And it had a great payoff, but it was a slow build. AEW is really good at telling stories when they want to be, but they also have this car crash. You know what I mean? Okay, here we go. Next segment. Okay, here we go. Like sometimes things just need to breathe a little bit more. To me, the pay-per-view, I think the best pay-per-view of the year was All Out. And we got the debut of Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole at the same time.
Yeah.
That's a lot. You know what I mean? That's a lot. They could have just given us one of them and had Danielson debut after. You know, I know like the expectations were there, but sometimes waiting is a good thing. And I would like them to slow down a little bit.
I couldn't agree with you more.
And I'd like to see their audience grow because they're not growing.
Wasn't that the same show? Wasn't that the same show where CM Punk made his wrestling debut?
In-ring debut, yeah. It's a lot. Suzuki was on that show. That was a great pay-per-view. You know what I mean? It really was.
I'm not going to deny that as most.
And it was a great moment too at the end.
Even in my mind, I think that's probably the best pay-per-view of the year. But you can't shove all that in the one show because the dangers of that is every show you do, you have to already be thinking about the next show. When you load everything into one show, well, what are you supposed to do?
It's
next
dangerous.
month?
It's dangerous to condition your audience to always be expecting that, because then it's a
100%.
letdown. You know what I mean? Oh, nobody debuted tonight. What the fuck? We got ripped off. AEW sucks.
Yeah,
it's dangerous to condition your audience like that, and they got to do something to, you know, their numbers aren't growing. They're sitting at that 800,000 to 1 million mark weekly, and it's not going higher, and it needs to get higher next year. I'd like to see that.
100%. But they need to change something. They need to do something different. I think you're on the right track with just slowing it down a bit. It's because it's at a ridiculous level now where it's every single time somebody loses their job, it doesn't matter where they are, WWE, ROH, matter. The very first thing that comes up is, okay, well, they'll be in AEW in 90 days from now.
Yeah, it's the pattern that TNA fell into, and it destroyed them.
That shouldn't be the case for AEW. AEW, I think, should be more strategic on how they hire. People want to pretend that, you know, they got that bottomless pit of money. Well, I remember this other company that had a bottomless pit of money that didn't have any substance around it and ended up selling for $4 million. Okay, money isn't everything. Tony Khan's endless wallet's not going to fucking save them at the end of the day if they don't make proper, good decisions. And as young as that company is, they're not even 3 years old yet. They still have plenty of time to fix these mistakes now, but they have to. They have to learn from their own mistakes. And that's fine. Everybody makes mistakes. But if they're not going to learn from their own mistakes right now, they're doomed in 3 years from now when they're like, okay, well, what? Like, I don't know what else to do. We can't make our fan, especially right now in the era of the fickle fucking fan.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say about AEW, the one thing that I don't mind that they're doing when they're bringing in these guys, though, and it's something that I think they may have learned from TNA's mistakes of, is they're bringing these guys in and not putting them in the title picture right away.
Yeah.
You know, like, I like how they brought, everyone's bitching about Adam Cole's run so far. It's been great. You know, he's having great matches. He's had a great match with Jungle Boy. You know, he's with the Young Bucks. Like, everybody can't be the world champion.
Other than Bryan Danielson, they've been pretty damn good at not bringing somebody in and then shoving them all the way up. They didn't do it with Punk when they really could have. They didn't do it with Adam Cole. They sure as hell didn't do it with Kenny Omega.
Right.
People forget. It took Kenny a year to get out of the mid card.
Yeah, and Kenny focused on building the tag team division up with Hangman. Like, I do like how they do that. I will say that.
Absolutely, and I'll give credit where credit is due there.
WWE, I've got two for them.
Okay.
I need new camera work because I want to throw up every time I watch a show. I can't. I get seasick, and I'm not like a nauseous person. It's just too much.
That's what I want. It's not what I'm predicting. I'm predicting a lot of the same. I'm not predicting anything positive for WWE, unfortunately. And you know, this show, we try so hard not to be that bandwagon of shit talking WWE, but they've given me nothing to believe that this year's going to be any different than last.
I want them to. My hope for them in the new year is I need them to make Raw better. I don't want to see the same matches every week. I want there to be more creativity on what they're doing. You know,
I want them to cut an hour off it.
Well, yeah, but you know, Nick Khan wants to add an hour, so what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean. But no, I want to see them. I feel like if I haven't watched Raw in months, but I haven't missed anything, and that's not good. I need to miss something.
Other than, let's not include AEW because that's already your kind of that's your current real love. So not counting AEW, but counting every other from the indies like GCW all the way to ROH when it comes back to Impact, MLW, WWE, doesn't matter who they are. Think of everything. Who flourishes in 2022? Who takes the next 12 months and in a year from now, when we're talking a year from now, who are we talking about?
Well, I don't think anyone's going to knock WWE off the top of the ladder, but I don't think we're going to be excited about talking about them. I mean, right now you got to tip your cap to GCW.
Not even NXT. Like I'm not even excited about NXT anymore.
I watched the War Games pay-per-view. I watched most of it, and like I'm not going to take away from the guys in the ring and the talent that they have, but I'm just not invested in any of the characters.
If I didn't have a feeling that it was the last time we were going to see Gargano and O'Reilly in a WWE ring, I probably wouldn't have even cared to watch.
It was so awesome when Gargano came out to his old like anime music too. I was like, yeah, let's go. I love me Gargano. I think it's GCW's year to blow right now. You know what I mean? They've got all the momentum going right now. I'm excited to see what they do with it as we close out the year and get into the new year.
What can they do? Like do you see an evolution happen? Do they evolve? Or would that hurt them? Are they are known as being this dirty, down, outlaw, mud show kind of company. So if they turn into something of better production and stuff like that, do you think that would hurt them with their fan base?
If they do it the right way, no. And the right way to do it is obviously GCW is never going to run arenas, and they should never run arenas.
No, absolutely not. But I'm talking like maybe a weekly TV show.
I don't think they need to do that. I don't think that's the next step for them. I don't think that's the right move for them. I just think maybe they run a venue that's...
I'm a big fan, but I can't watch every show because they're doing 4, 5, 6 shows a week.
Yeah, well, that's why they don't need a weekly show because they're doing enough pay-per-views, right?
But who's watching every single one? Because it's not me. I can't afford to pay $20 a show 6 times a month.
I think the next step for them is just to run better looking visually venues. Not every venue is going to be the Hammerstein Ballroom.
No, but
I think you can
special about that Showboat Arena, man.
I'm not saying leave there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying leave there because I agree. It looks great and I want them to stay there, but they can fit more fans into buildings. I think that they're limiting their drawing power, and I think they need to kind of look to a little bit bigger venues so they can get more fans.
Prove that. I think they're going to prove that at the Hammerstein. They're going to prove to the world that they can do an arena like that. I just don't hope. I hope they don't get their britches too full there and think that we did the Hammerstein, we could do that every week.
Yeah, I hope not either. Maybe build to more bigger shows like Hammerstein. Maybe they run 4 big shows like that next year.
Yeah,
I'd be okay with that.
I have to agree with you. It is their year to blow. As long as they keep on the same role they were in 2021, they're going to be very successful next year. God, I hope so as a fan. I'm looking forward to a great 2022 as a professional wrestling fan.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember a year in my life where I was excited about pretty much everything except for WWE.
Yeah, I got excited for 3 shows of the WWE this year. Well, I always like the Rumble and WrestleMania. I don't even count that. But outside of Rumble and WrestleMania,
I'm always going to watch the Rumble. Doesn't matter what. But
I was excited for 3 shows that they promoted all year outside of Rumble and WrestleMania. Good.
I watched them, but I don't know if I was excited about them. I mean,
I think that summertime they really hit a good stride between Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, and Saudi Arabia. I thought those 3 shows were really, really solid.
But I can't say I'm excited about something if it's still not good enough to make me watch the builds to watch the weekly product.
Yeah, I'm very selective. I really enjoyed Edge and Seth Rollins. I really liked what they did, and I made sure to watch their promos every week, but I wouldn't watch Raw. No. And if you guys want to hear more about the year in 2021, well, next week is part 1 of our 2-part special. Should we say something?
Buckle in, boys and girls. We have, it is our top 7 moments of 2021.
Your top 7. This is your list this year.
This is mine this year. You did it last year. And last year we brought in a bunch of friends of ours and stuff to talk. Well, this year we did the same thing, but we went a little bigger, man. We got some big names this year.
Do you want to Do you want to kind of say who people are going to see next week?
Yeah, man, it's called marketing, man. We got to get people wanting to listen, right? So who's on the show next week? What next week? Is it our 7? It's 765 next week.
I think it's going to be 765. I got to do some editing still and see where we're at, but for sure 765. In no particular order of what these guys are going to be doing and where they are. We're not going to give away any of the list, but next week you're going to hear from our good friend of the show, Mr. Anthony from the Titantron, is going to join us next week. Another good friend of the show, our buddy from Barry Wrestling, and then becoming our buddy, Mr. Holden Albright, who we had an interview with.
Scary.
He's awesome. And some guy named Jimmy Corderas. He used to be a referee. I don't know if you ever heard of him or not, but you're going to hear from all those guys and more next week. So,
and then what about the week after? We're going to give that away?
Yeah, why not? Week after that, you're going to hear from Lenny Leonard, GCW commentator, Ring of Honor commentator. We had him on earlier this year. You're going to definitely hear from him. We're going to bring on one of our all-time favorites as well. Our good friend Adam is going to join us. I'm pretty sure he is, at least. We're still working on that one.
Yeah, no, you'll be on one way or another. We do have one question mark for that week.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the name just because we're still locking it down a time to do it. And then
Adam's not a question mark.
And then we're going to be joined once again by Wrestling Royalty. As a good friend of ours, Bronwyn Billington, is going to jump on and chat with us too. So lots of fun stuff for the year and next week starting up.
For the next 2 weeks, yeah.
Next 2 weeks, yeah, because we're taking a fucking holiday.
Yeah, baby.
After this week, I'm not recording for 2 weeks.
We pre-taped 2 weeks ago. We pre-taped like 8 weeks worth of showtime with Mike and Tyler.
That's why we are dressed the same and progressively drunker as they go. We're looking forward to some holiday times, but before we get to the holiday times, I got to get through my list today.
Man, I am excited about your list. This is really number one. I know you didn't plan this, but after this ROH pay-per-view, I think it's a perfect timing for this list.
Do you know how much stupid luck we have like that? It's crazy.
I know.
I mean, we plan it all. We are very smart planners.
This is what I love about the show. We always talk about, we try not to do the super cliche lists. And this is a very interesting list. This is very because you could have went a little easier if you wanted to. You could have done most emotional shows, most emotional moments. No, you did most emotional matches.
Yes. So I'm going to kind of set the bar on my criteria here. The match itself is what I'm looking for the emotion to be drawn from.
Right.
So, for example, WrestleMania 7, the Ultimate Warrior versus the Macho Man, will not be on my list because the emotional moment from that was post-match. Now, I did take into account, some pre and post-match stuff when making my list, but to me, the match had to be the superstar. So, whereas that moment is beautiful, if the match would have had,
but they're very separate. A lot of times, like the Lethal and Gresham match, I've made my piece. It's not on your list, fine, but I'm using it as an example. The emotional moments outside of it all tie into the match.
Yes,
the hug with Carrie, the emotion that both men are showing during the match, the smiles they give each other, the way the way they put moves on each other and then kind of give that look to each other. The whole roster coming out, the roster coming out and like slamming on the mat. That's a moment, but it's tied into the match. Where the moment that you just discussed, the Miss Elizabeth and Sherry Martel and Macho Man thing really has nothing to do with the Ultimate Warrior at all. Right? So you're 100% right. Those are two separate things.
And we're not going to be talking about retirement speeches and all that. Like it's going to be matches today. And
good. This isn't the Cody Rhodes show today. Awesome.
Hey, how do you know he's not on this list?
Fuck me.
I will say Cody does draw emotion from people.
Hatred.
Hey, that's an emotion, man. That's an emotion. Some of his promos he cut, with the promo he cut with after the cage match against Wardlow is one of the best promos of the year.
My favorite promo that he's cut in AEW is the one about his brother. That's I just I like that one a lot. Everything else he's done kind of gets lost on me a little bit. Yeah.
Well, let's get to my number
do this,
7.
Man. Jump in. Yeah, jump in.
I still haven't made up my mind on my number 7. I'm torn between 2 matches right now.
Well, what are you gonna do? It's showtime.
I don't know. Maybe I'll have 2 number 7s this week.
Oh, really? Because the last time I tried to do that, you called me a cheater.
Yeah, we did it once and said we'd never do it again. Oh man.
Flip a coin, baby.
Okay, I'm gonna go with the match that is better because the match quality is very important to me.
You do that, and then in your honorable mentions, do the other one first, and then we'll have a good talk about it.
I'm gonna do the other one right now because I'm gonna forget.
Okay.
The other one, the hardest one that I've left off is, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, Nick Gage and Matt Cardona.
That's the one that got left off?
That's the one I'm leaving off. Now everyone's gonna sit there
because I know you had a hard time, and I'm gonna tell you right now, and this is as a huge fan of that entire angle of a huge fan of Nick Gage. I think you made the right decision. If you went with the match that I think you went with, I think you made the right decision.
So everyone's probably
the emotion in that match didn't come from the match; it came from the fans. The only emotion in that match, it was pure hatred.
It came from Cardona. Yeah, the hatred is a very real emotion. So everybody, it's not just tears here. You never know what you're going to find on my list here. I just couldn't put it over my number 7. And my number 7, we're going to 2004, the No Way Out pay-per-view, Brock Lesnar versus Eddie Guerrero.
You made the right decision here.
I know.
Really did.
I know. Yeah. I just, I keep visualizing that crowd for that Cardona match and that type of hatred and littering the ring and just the passion that came out of that GCW crowd for Gage. It's a beautiful thing in a fucked up way. But Eddie Guerrero having his moment.
Don't tell Dave Meltzer that.
Oh, fuck Dave Meltzer. First of all, the build up to this match was incredible. The I'm addicted promo. It all came right in. The story they told leading up to it was perfect. And they only did 3 weeks of build for this match too, which is crazy. And I know that because just last night I was doing research for a future episode of Classic Match Classroom. This match is probably going to get done at some point. But 3 weeks worth of build. The match was incredible. It was in the perfect venue at the Cow Palace in San Francisco. Legendary venue. A lot of Hispanic fans in attendance there. Eddie's family in attendance. Just the love that the crowd poured out to Eddie. And a 3-week build is special. And
in this era, especially in Eddie's career, I'm going to go ahead and say that Eddie was probably one of, if not the biggest babyface in, I want to say during that Ruthless Aggression era.
Oh yeah. This was his coming out party too, man. Like
I don't think any other babyface was as loved during that era as Eddie Guerrero was. Not John Cena, not Shawn Michaels, not Chris Benoit. Eddie Guerrero had every single fan just wanting to be his best friend.
Like what helped with this match too is that everybody wanted it to happen so bad, but nobody believed it was going to happen. We all, we'll get Brock and Goldberg for the belt at WrestleMania. That's a WrestleMania match. You know what I mean? And fuck, man, when Eddie hit that frog splash and Taz is yelling, he cheated. And the 1, 2, 3, the pop of the crowd, Eddie's crying. He's jumping into the crowd. He's on the table with the flag. And to top it off, these guys had a fucking banger of a match, man. They went almost a half an hour. It was unreal.
Absolutely no one, including myself, expected Eddie to go into WrestleMania as WWE champion. And to have him do it the way he did it that night, just the way it was with that fan base, like you said, it was a large Hispanic fan base that night. It was his familia. You know what I mean? Those were his people.
Absolutely.
They could not have timed it better. And to make it better, you're right. They did have a banger of a match. They did go 30 minutes. And I don't think you get as much as an emotional response if they just go out and have a 15-minute okay match. They need to put on, they need Eddie to put on, he needs to earn that championship. He needs to go out and beat the Beast in a way that no one else can beat the Beast.
This might be in my top 10 favorite matches of all time.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's really good. You know, and this night in 2004, it was a lot of tears of joy. But my number 6 is a little more somber. It's going to be a little bit, hold on here. I'm just adjusting. My battery is dying.
Uh-oh.
There we go. Yeah, my number 6 is the tears were a little bit sadder. And I'm going to take us back all the way to 1984 for this one.
Okay.
And I'm going to the Parade of Champions, Ric Flair versus Carrie Von Erich at the Texas Stadium.
All right. Wow.
Going deep here.
When I was doing my research for this list, I didn't even think of this match.
Yeah.
So just go for it. Yeah.
Well, you know, and again, the match was awesome. Carrie and Flair in 84. Ric Flair in 84 was untouchable. Carrie was still in the prime of his career at this point. Unfortunately, they had just lost Dave Von Erich a few months prior to this, and this was his tribute show. And that NWA World Title meant so much to the Von Erich family. Fritz wanted it on one of his boys so bad, and everyone thought Dave was going to be the guy that was going to get that run, and unfortunately, he passed away on a tour in Japan. The love that the Von Erichs have in Texas, you cannot put into words how the people feel about the Von Erichs. And
I'm not sure anybody has ever been as over in their home state as the Von Erichs were during that era of wrestling.
It's not even close. It's not even close. And I challenge anybody to fight me on it, because you're wrong.
And that includes, listen, we all know how big the Hearts are in Canada, okay? We get it, and especially in Calgary. You know, you put, you know, Stu was over, Brett was over, they were all over, Stampede was over. WCCW and the Von Erichs in Texas trumps that by about 1,000%.
Yeah, and you know, just for like, when you look back in hindsight, all the tragedy that family faced, it was nice to see them have a beautiful moment like this. People were crying in the audience.
Yeah.
You know, and there's a great moment when the match is over too. And again, I know I'm not focusing too much on the post-match stuff, but it's just a beautiful moment. Carrie's walking through the mob of people and finds his mom and dad in the crowd, and they just embrace, and it's just beautiful. You know,
I totally forgot. I'm so glad this is on your list, because I totally forgot about it. You're 100% right. I have seen this match several times. I remember being a prominent story in the WCCW documentary that WWE put out years ago. If I'm not mistaken, I think even Bill Apter discussed this in his book. Mm-hmm. I think Bill was there that night.
Bill was there. He was there. And we talked a little bit about the Von Erichs with Bill when we had him on the show. And when the next time we bring him on, we're definitely going to deep dive into the Von Erich, because that's something I really want to talk about. The match was great. I love a simple finish. The backslide finish was so good. You know, these guys didn't go out there and have your it wasn't like Brock and Eddie. They didn't do all the high spots. They just had a great wrestling match, and the crowd was there for it. People were crying. People wanted that moment. The city of Texas needed that moment, and it was great. It was a beautiful match. I really love this match. And Carrie didn't get a long run. He only had the belt for about 25 days. Yeah. The NWA just kind of did, you know, here, we're sorry for your loss.
Carrie wasn't an NWA guy. They were just doing it for its a favor, and yeah. So it makes sense that he wasn't a long champion, but he was still champion. I had written down 2 Ric Flair matches for my research. This wasn't one of them, so thank you for reminding me about how amazing this is, because this is a tremendous wrestling match. It's also a tremendous moment in wrestling history.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, it was. It was kind of like the peak of that world-class territory, because it all kind of went downhill after here.
Absolutely.
Let's get on number 5 here. Number 5 is a little bit more recent. We're going to go back only a couple years to WrestleMania 35, and it's Kofi Mania, baby. Kofi Kingston versus Bryan Danielson.
Okay.
this match was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was. It was.
The emotion and the power that Kofi Kingston's win had on the wrestling industry. You know, people were bawling their eyes out. Xavier Woods bawling his eyes out. Big E bawling his eyes out. You see reaction footage from guys like MVP and Shad Gaspar at the bar watching this match, crying.
Yeah.
The power of the black community that this win had, it was felt, and it was needed.
100%.
It was needed, and the build leading into this.
This is a company that, even though every February they fucking pretend they care, and every Martin Luther King Day they put MLK's photo up, but other than that, as far as the world title picture, the WWE title picture, that WWE title has not been reflected, has not been represented in the black community enough times. And we can all admit that. Other than The Rock, up until
Bobby Lashley now finally,
thankfully, but up until Kofi, The Rock was the only prominent black champion and WWE champion. Yes, Mark Henry and several others had the Booker T had the world title, but the WWE, the banner championship, had only been held by one black champion in 50 fucking years. That says whether or not it's justifiable that it says something, it still says something about your company, and they should have done something about that a long time ago. Now and then put into place what this world has been going through for the last 24 months. The Black Lives Matter movement hits. The black community is hurting more than they have in so long, and that I can't even say that because as a white guy, I can't even pretend to say that. Let me rephrase that. The black community we are seeing the black community's hurt and pain more than we ever have because of what's going on in the news. So because of this, to have Kofi Kingston win that championship in the midst of all this hatred and bullshit is a beautiful fucking thing. Yeah. And that's a beautiful moment to see not only black superstars like Big E and Xavier Woods crying, but to see white wrestlers support them, because God damn it, it's 2021. Yeah, you know what I mean? There's not supposed to be this black guy, white guy thing anymore. We're all supposed to be on the same page, and we're not there yet. So to see them being what they're supposed to be is a beautiful looking thing. Yeah, and to bring it down to a smaller scale here, and I'll talk about it from a storyline standpoint, because I think you just said it pretty well there. It's one of the rare times that the WWE listened and got it right before it was too late. Kofi wasn't supposed to be in that spot. He was just a substitute in an elimination chamber match because of an injury, right? Exactly. And people got behind him, and then they got behind him again and again, and the WWE listened. They booked him strong leading up to Mania, the Gauntlet match, where he went through everybody. You know what I mean? Like, they pulled the trigger at the right moment, and it is a lasting moment and one of the greatest WrestleMania moments of all time. 100%. And now look where we're standing now. We're standing now where the two world champions have been for several months, whenever Bobby Lashley won the championship, have been two men of color. Yeah. And now Big E's carrying the title as well, right? The last two WWE champions have been black men. You have a pure Samoan man as the Universal Champion. That's WWE has a long way to go to get out of the hole they dug themselves when it comes to race relations. They've done a lot of things right, but they've done a lot of things fucking wrong too. Yeah. Though I will say, even though I've been extremely critical of the character over the last many years, I read an article lately in the last 2 days that Tony Atlas said in an interview, saying that he feels like that Saba Simba saved his life.
Interesting.
And I laughed because I always consider Saba Simba to be one of the most racist, disgusting things I've ever seen. But he flat out said, he goes, without that character, he goes, I was losing everything. I was homeless. I was about, like, I'd probably be dead in a year. So it's what's funny to see things like that from a different perspective.
Well,
moving on to your next one, that you sold me, because when you first brought that up, I said, how is that more emotional than this past weekend at ROH?
Yeah.
But when you bring in the everything that was going on in the world and stuff like that, you put it all together. You're absolutely right. It was a very emotional moment.
From a wrestling fan standpoint, I can see the emotion in it, but that moment is more emotional than even you and I could understand.
That is for a culture.
Yeah, and I'm not going to even pretend to say that I understand, because I don't, but I know it's important.
Exactly.
You ready for
I got you.
You ready for the deep cut of the list?
Okay.
We're going deep cut here. My number 4.
Is it Puff versus Pretty Ricky?
Oh my God, that was beautiful. Jesus took a stunner in a church. We're going all the way back to 1983.
Okay.
And we are going with Terry Funk and Dory Funk versus Stan Hansen and Terry Gordy from All Japan Pro Wrestling. It is Terry Funk's first ever retirement match.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen a crowd like this crowd. They were...
Was Terry the baby?
Terry was the baby. Him and Dory came out before the match started. I had to take notes on this. When Terry and
this is in Japan?
Yes. Terry Funk, you would have thought that the Beatles and Jesus rolled into the building at the same time, and Terry Funk came out.
Oh. Jesus gets booked at Barry. That's it.
That's right. That's you know how Nick Gage does his entrances and gets mobbed by the crowd? Yeah. This crowd made Nick Gage's entrance look like Edge and Christian's entrance in their Brood days. Terry Funk he could not even get to the ring. It was insane. The pre-match ceremony was great. I love how All Japan and New Japan does their ceremonies when they honor people, where everyone comes and gives them gifts. The crowd is chanting Terry the whole time. Stan Hansen, he might be my favorite wrestler of all time. Holy fuck, this guy is the most believable badass on the planet. He fucking just comes barreling out of the ring with his fucking rope. He's whacking fans in the face with it as he's coming out. Gordy's coming out behind him looking great. Crazy brawl. Hansen just gets in the ring and just starts beating the fuck out of Terry Funk immediately. They're brawling in the crowd. Terry gets busted open. The heels are working over Dory. I saw my favorite hot tag I've ever seen in my entire life in this match. Terry Funk gets the hot tag, and he just gets in the ring and just walks in front of Stan Hansen's face, and just Stan Hansen is punching Terry Funk in the face. That was his hot tag. And then Terry wound back and fucking clobbered him one. Or like Hansen was like, Terry was punching Hansen and Hansen was no-selling it. And then finally Terry hit him with one and Hansen just took the bump and the place went fucking nuts. I've never seen a crowd so invested in a match before. Terry Funk's selling of his leg, you would have thought that it was going to come right off his body. He was so good at selling it. And Terry Funk gets the win by doing a fucking sunset flip off the top rope. Terry Funk. It was unreal. And then Stan Hansen goes crazy after the match and beats the fuck out of Terry Funk. Hits one of the stiffest lariats to a young boy I've ever seen in my entire life. It takes like 9 guys to grab Hansen to get him out of the ring. And then, of course, you get the fucking promo, man. The lights dim out. Forever. Like, Terry Funk is bloody and crying. Fuck you if you don't have a heart. This is amazing.
It's funny. It's funny to me that in 1983, when tradition was still a big thing, that the outgoing wrestler didn't do the favors that night.
Yeah, but it wouldn't have worked if Terry didn't go over. He had to go over this match.
Yeah.
You ready for me to take heat now?
Oh, fuck. Why?
You're gonna not like this one.
Oh,
My number 3. I'm taking us to WrestleMania 30. Brock Lesnar versus The Undertaker.
you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
This is a fucking joke.
No,
No,
You-
you are wrong.
I'll tell you why I'm not wrong. You name me one match that has
Was it shocking? Yes.
that has a chain reaction like the finish to this match. It went from 1, 2, 3 to just dead silence. You could hear a fucking pin drop and then fucking rumbling. What the fuck just happened? The bell rang. The place is buzzing now. And then it's just emotion. People are crying in the crowd. People are fucking shocked with their hands on their head. The wave of energy in that building. And then they just put the number up. The streak number. What was it? Fucking 26-1 or whatever it was.
21-0.
21. Yeah, but it was 21-1. And they didn't play any music. They just let the moment sink in. I have never seen a crowd like that. And I have yet to see a crowd like that again. It is the most genuine, shocking, emotional thing I've ever seen in a wrestling match.
I probably wouldn't be mad about this being on your list, but not at your number fucking 3.
I figure you wouldn't like the placement on it, but it's 1,000% for that finish. I've never seen anything like it before. It was such a different kind of emotion. I don't even know how to describe it.
Jesus Christ. What's your number 1? Mrs.'s first fucking title win?
That was beautiful. He cried like a baby. We can just take it home then.
Christ. Oh, I'm going to get Ms. Girl on the show next week.
Okay, we can talk about the positioning of this match, but this match needs to be on the list.
If I wasn't already mad, because every match that you bring up, I'm comparing, I'm justifying why you fought me so hard on this ROH thing. This one, you're fucking spreading it thin here.
Listen, that finish,
This was
man.
shocking. It wasn't emotional.
Yeah, the Undertaker losing at WrestleMania was a fucking emotional moment. It was uncanny the way that the crowd reacted to it. It's one of the greatest moments in professional wrestling history, as far as I'm concerned. I've never seen anything like it. Now, and since you brought it up, I'll tell you why Jay Lethal and Gresham isn't on my list. It's because the moment, unfortunately, didn't have time to breathe because I think they were running out of time on the pay-per-view, and they had to rush it. And that's it. If they would have had 5 more minutes to have that moment, have Gresham soak in the win, have Carrie hand her the belt, maybe not rush to the finish. I feel like as soon as the wrestlers rushed out, I feel like it was a rush. You know what I mean?
You barely had time to process it after Jay Lethal tapped out, and Riccaboni's going, "We gotta go."
Yeah, I feel like there was a timing issue. I think some of the stuff ran long, and that's why it's not on my list.
Still,
we can talk about the positioning of this one. Maybe it could go number 6, and maybe I move some stuff down a little bit.
If you're listen, I'm not going to fight. They shouldn't be on the list, but me personally, Brock Eddie is above this.
From a match standpoint, from in ring, yes, but that finish that triggered the emotion from the crowd is something I've never seen before.
All right, okay.
Number two, we're going to 1999 WCW Monday Nitro, Chris Benoit versus Bret Hart in the Owen Hart tribute match.
Yeah, okay. I had a feeling I knew what your number 1 and number 2 are. I didn't know which way you were going to go. You could have done either or. If I'm correct about your number 1,
yeah.
If I am, you could have done either or. I would not have fought you one way or the other. This could have been your 2. It could have been your 1. Either way, you're right.
Yeah,
this was an extremely emotional match. It was the first time Bret wrestles in Kansas City after Owen Hart's
same venue.
It is the venue where Owen Hart passed away. It's Owen Hart's brother versus a friend of the family. And I think the only person Brett would have won a fight that night.
Yeah.
Chris Benoit.
Harley Race was the ring announcer as well, which I thought was nice.
Yeah.
I mean, these are two of the best wrestlers in the world, and they did that.
And they showed that night. It was, they did that for Owen, but they also did it just because Owen loved professional wrestling, no matter what Martha wanted to say at the time. And they went out to prove that, let's go put on a match for Owen.
This is the best wrestling match on my list by far. Yes. And the reason why it's not my number one, I'll get into when we get to my number one. But
if I'm correct, that I still agree with you.
Yeah.
It's not all about the in-ring here.
Yeah.
And this match, it didn't need a story. It didn't need a background. All you had to know is that Owen Hart died tragically in this building. His brother and his friend are about to pay him tribute. That's all you needed to know. And you're crying like a fucking baby, and that's in those stands.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. And go watch this match. Yeah. If you don't like professional wrestling,
I'm sure it's on the WWE Network. Go watch it.
Right, it's on YouTube. It's on Daily Motion. Yeah. Go watch it. And of course, number one. It had to be number one. I'm sorry. I love you.
Okay.
Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels.
Absolutely.
WrestleMania 24. This match is number one.
Fight Adam to death. Adam and I have been fighting about this match since the day it happened. He says it's the worst built WrestleMania match in history.
He's out of his mind. Oh, Yeller?
He loved the match, but he hates the booking. He hates the build. He hates everything about it. And I don't disagree with Adam very often when it comes to professional wrestling, but I will always fight him on the moon.
The build for this is awesome.
With this,
it tells a story of Ric Flair wanting to know if he's still the man, and if he can't beat Shawn Michaels, and because they had the stip, if Flair the next match Flair loses, he's going to retire. Yeah, okay, whatever. I wasn't huge on that, but it made Flair's matches very intense for a long time. But to come out at WrestleMania and be like, I need to fight Mr. WrestleMania at WrestleMania to see if I'm still the man. I love it.
Shawn didn't want to do it.
Shawn didn't want to do it because he knew.
I don't want to be the one to retire you, which Rick took an exception to.
100%.
Who says you're going to win?
Yeah.
What a great story.
And then when Shawn said he had to take Old Yeller around back and put the bullet in him, Flair slapped him in the face. Oh, Old Yeller. Fuck, man. Adam, what are you?
It was great.
You're nuts, Adam. You're nuts, Adam.
I loved it so much. And let's break down the match, man. Just you're right. Like, is it as good of an in-ring wrestling match as Brett versus this Benoit? Of course it's not. But Ric Flair's not having those matches at the age of, what was he, 56?
Yeah, he was. He still pulled his weight, man. I know Flair always says Shawn carried him through the match, and Shawn definitely, made that match better than what it would have been. But
Flair will also tell you, even to this day, that Shawn Michaels is the greatest in-ring performer in the history of professional wrestling. I don't think he would have chosen anybody else in the world, including Triple H or anybody else, to have that match with him.
Yeah.
The match that was his final WWE match, if not his final wrestling match, was very special because Shawn Michaels went out and did what Shawn Michaels does at WrestleMania. And he told the best story of the night. That's what Shawn does. Does Shawn always put on the greatest wrestling match? Usually. But one thing you can know he's going to do is he's going to tell the best story you've seen that night, especially at WrestleMania.
Absolutely.
And he did not disappoint that night. And that moment where, it's the old Yeller moment right there, where the gun's loaded, is pointed right between his eyes. He just needs to pull the trigger. And Ric Flair knows it's over and he says, do it, do it. And Shawn says, I'm sorry, I love you. And he pulls that trigger. It's a beautiful moment. It is obviously, in your eyes, the most emotional match in WWE history.
Yeah, I have 2 points I want to go off on this. The first one I'll say is I love the throwback to that about 2 or 3 years later when Shawn got retired by the Undertaker, and it was the same thing. Shawn was on his hands and knees, and he's saying, "Come on," and Taker had that hesitation, and then Shawn slapped him in the face, and Taker tombstoned him and retired him. Right? I like but what people always forget about the aftermath of this match. Everyone's always like, the Ric Flair ceremony was beautiful.
I love that this bled into a feud with Batista.
Yes, thank you.
This was a great story.
And that Batista feud, though, bled into Shawn and Jericho, which was the best feud in WWF history. Maybe
I don't know who was booking back then. I think it might have been Paul Heyman, but
maybe Brian Growitz or something too.
Very possibly Growitz, yeah. But whoever was doing it knew how to write for Shawn Michaels back then. They really did.
Yeah. Oh, pardon me. It's the end of my long.
I'm still here. I'm going to go off screen for a minute so I can find my honorable mentions.
All right. Well, I'll bang out some of my honorable mentions really quick, unless you got yours pulled up here.
No, not yet. So you go.
All right. I'm going Royal Rumble 2019, the return of Edge. That was in the running, and of course the moment where Drew McIntyre wins as well and has that beautiful moment. WrestleMania 20, Benoit versus Triple H versus Shawn Michaels. Had a fight to get on there. Crockett Cup Finals, I think 87, where Nikita Koloff did his walkout, which you can hear him talk about on www.countout7.com. I believe that was Dusty Rhodes and Magnum TA did the walkout after his car accident. It was Dusty and Nikita against Luger and Tully Blanchard. Christian versus Alberto Del Rio, where Christian won the world title after Edge had to vacate it, was nice. You got a couple you want to bang out?
The ones that come off to my mind that you haven't mentioned yet are there I am. Starrcade 1983, Ric Flair versus Big Van Vader.
93, yeah, that's on my list.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
My honorable mentions, I should say.
I didn't hear you mention it. I'm sorry.
I haven't mentioned it yet. It is on my honorable mention list.
Okay. And the other one, of course, is WrestleMania 26, Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels.
Yes, that is honorable mention as well. I've got CM Punk versus John Cena at Money in the Bank. You can't buy that type of crowd reaction. Daniel Bryan versus Batista versus RKO at WrestleMania 30, the Yes Movement. Thought that was nice. Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Daniel Bryan's return to the ring. That was really good. Brett and Shawn.
Another one.
What do you got?
Oh, sorry. What? Do the one you were just about to say.
Brett and Shawn at Survivor Series 97 for a different type of a reason.
Yes. That one way more so than WrestleMania 20, WrestleMania 12.
Not even honorable mention for me.
Thank you. I don't know if you're going to mention it, but let's. I think it has to be mentioned. The Outsiders versus Sting and Macho Man.
Yeah, with Hogan doing his turn.
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely. I've got Bulldog and Brett from Survivor or SummerSlam 92 as well.
Yes, absolutely. Let's throw in Bulldog and Owen in Germany too.
Yeah.
Because the fans were so into that whole match, and just with Bulldog winning everything, there was real emotion there.
You could also throw in the Raw match where they reunited the Hart Foundation. You're my brother. Yeah. I love you. And Owen starts crying. That was good.
Yeah, I love that.
One that I was there personally for, Rock versus Hogan at WrestleMania 18.
Yeah.
Haven't made it. That was tough to not put on my list. Rock versus Austin at WrestleMania 19, Austin's last match. Undertaker versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania.
Which people, I think, would have been a lot more emotional if people knew that it was happening. Nobody knew that was Austin's last match.
100%. The Shield versus the Rhodes brothers tag team match where the Rhodes got hired back. That was a good one.
Yeah, that was a great match.
Mick Foley versus The Rock at the Royal Rumble because of the Beyond the Mat documentary really brought out the emotion in that one.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay.
Here's one for you. WrestleMania 3, Rowdy Piper and Adrian Adonis.
Yeah, baby.
What else we got here? Rey Mysterio winning the Royal Rumble for Eddie Guerrero. And then going on to win the world title at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Bayley versus Sasha Banks in the 30-woman Iron Man match. First time they got to main event.
Mm-hmm.
Your boy Cody Rhodes versus Dustin from AEW All Out, or what is it? Not All Out, the Vegas one, whatever it is. Can't remember.
Double or nothing.
Double or Nothing. Thank you. Here's one too: The Godfather versus Jeff Jarrett on the Owen Hart tribute show, where Jarrett wins the IC title.
Mm-hmm.
I
I have one that is a question mark, just because I haven't seen it in years.
Yeah.
What about that match that Edge and Matt Hardy had when Matt first got back?
It was full of hatred, but it didn't really draw from the crowd, and the SummerSlam match was a dud. Yeah,
and like I said, I'm not saying it should be. I'm just saying because that's the kind of match that has the potential.
Yeah,
but did it play off like that?
Just good matches, but it didn't have that it factor to get on this list.
Right.
This one was really close to coming on my list too. MJF, Santana, and Ortiz versus the Dark Order from the Brody Lee Memorial Show.
Okay.
That was a good one. I got Masawa versus Jumbo Tsuruta when Masawa won the world title, and another really crazy crowd.
Right.
Gresham and Lethal we talked about. Vader versus Antonio Inoki on Vader's debut in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He squashed Inoki and caused a riot, which was crazy. Ric Flair versus Harley Race at Starrcade. Shawn Michaels versus Triple H at SummerSlam. Steve Austin versus Eric Bischoff at No Way Out. You want to talk about a hot crowd that just really love to see Austin back. And my last one, Kenny Omega versus Okada, 2 out of 3 falls where Kenny won the world title. The crowd was really hot for that one too.
Sorry if I missed it, but did you bring up Canadian Stampede?
I did not. Canadian Stampede is a good one too.
I think that has to be at least mentioned, just because the crowd was so into the entire show, especially the main event. Their disdain for the American team was so loud. Their fucking love for the Canadian team was so loud. It definitely needs to be mentioned, I think.
The Rock Foley match, it wasn't just Royal Rumble. When Foley won the world title was the one I wanted to talk about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I got. I don't think I missed anything. If I did, I'm tired and fuck off.
Hey, man, there's a lot. That's part of the reason we love professional wrestling. There's a lot of emotional matches. You know, so if you're gonna miss them, you're gonna miss them.
Kenta Kobashi's return from cancer. It was also an awesome moment as well.
Right.
Tag team match. All right, that's all I got. Now I'm done.
All right, brother. Well, speaking of returning from cancer, on behalf of Count It Out, I'd love to say ho to our boy Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Love it.
Did announce this week that he is cancer-free once again. We couldn't be happier. On a day that we have sad news about Jimmy Rave, it's nice to have good news every once in a while.
That's it, right? I love it. And I think that's a great way to end the show on a positive note.
Absolutely. So stay tuned next week. We're wrapping up 2021, guys. We're for the next 2 weeks, we're going to be counting down the top 7 moments of 2021 with a bunch of our friends. And thank you guys for being part of us for the last fucking almost 2 years now. 2022 is going to be big for us. We have a lot going on. Our 100th show is going to be in a couple months. Our 2-year show is going to be shortly after that. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff with Barry Wrestling and hopefully a couple other promotions. We're only getting bigger from here, brother.
Let's go.
And on behalf of a very emotional Tyler Wolf, we've been counted out.
Cheers.